In this video from the WoodPile, we take this SketchUp design of a record storage rack and a turntable stand, and we turn it into the actual unit. We selected a beautiful walnut for this project, and it turned out just fantastic. Come along with me and see how we did it. For this project, we needed about 50 board feet of 1 inch thick and a couple of board feet of 2 inch for the legs. Now this stuff doesn't come perfectly planed on all 4 sides. It comes with cracks and knots, and it's not ready to go. You have to actually do a fair amount of preparation to prepare the material for the project itself. Here's an example of how the boards come. They're rough and the edges are not true. You can see there's about a 3/8 of an inch gap between the straight edge and this rough edged board. The jointer is the go-to power tool to true up both edges and the flats of boards. This one has a helical cutter on it, and it can handle boards up to 8 inches wide. You can see here when I run the plank through the jointer on the initial pass that there's quite a gap on the bottom edge. But after several passes, that gap disappears totally and the bottom side of that board is flat. Here's that same plank that we had run through the jointer. I've got the jointed edge up against the straight edge, and you can see now that it's perfectly flat and the 2 edges meet beautifully. We've got 30 planks in all to run through the jointer. After we get one good edge from the jointer, we can go over to the table saw, put the jointed edge against the fence, and then we can run the plank through the table saw, giving us 2 good edges that are parallel to each other. You still have to deal with the sides. So the first part of the construction is that we're going to work on the sides. There's 4 sides, they're identical, 3 planks per side. So we have 12 planks in total. We're going to run the planks through the jointer to face one side, and then we'll take it over to the planer and we'll run the other side through the planer. That will make both sides parallel to each other in the same thickness along its entire length. The target thickness for all the planks is 3/4 of an inch. We'll leave them a little bit bigger after going through the planer because we still need to put them together, and then we will run them through the jump sander to get down to our final ultimate 3/4 of an inch thickness. The 3 planks that make up each side are going to be joined with biscuits. There will be 3 biscuits per plank. And a biscuit is a piece of beech that is glued into a recess in the plank, and then when the glue contacts the biscuit, it actually swells a bit, which locks the biscuit into the wood. Biscuits are frequently used to join pieces on edge. It's always preferable to remove the glue when it's still liquid rather than after it's hardened. It is easy to remove at this point, and it doesn't leave any challenging residue that you have to sand off later on. So we have to deal with all of these knots and the cracks that are in the boards. Now, some people might like to leave it. It's got a rustic look, but my client would prefer that they be removed, and I think it looks nicer with a patch rather than a knot in the side panel. You might be wondering why there's a small 1-inch diameter hole in the bottom of each pocket. The hole is for hydraulic relief. The patch fits so snugly within the pocket that the glue would prevent the patch from bottoming out if there was no place for the glue to squeeze to. So the 1-inch diameter hole gives you that hydraulic relief when you press the patch down into the pocket. Of the 13 patches, there was one patch that had a gap around one corner of the oval. So to fix it, it's a simple matter. Make some walnut sanding dust so it's the exact same color as the walnut itself. Apply some CA glue and then force the mixture into the gap. Once it dries, you can sand it out and it will be quite tight. I know the vertical sides of the side panel are true and parallel to each other, but I don't know about the top and the bottom. With my cabinet sled, I'm able to get one edge that's 90 degrees to the side, and it's a simple matter then to use the fence to cut the side panel to the right length. The side panels slope from back to front, with the slope starting 6 inches from the back edge. I wanted to make a template so that I could cut all 4 of these identical. So the way to do it was to cut out a template on a CNC, and then that angled template would fit into the cabinet sled, and then I would be able to cut all 4 panels exactly the same way without any measuring. The panel sits up against the template against the back fence, and then the corner of the side panel slides up against the fence on the table saw. That keeps that in the right position and initiates the cut at exactly 6 inches from the back edge. My drum sander has 120 grit in it. I wanted to finish the side panels off with a little smoother finish, so I'm using the palm sander at 220 grit. The final step was to put a roundover bit in the router and then take the sharp edge off all of the panels. Production of all the other components was basically the same approach. Jointer, table saw, planer, and then sander. In this project, any exposed edge was made from true walnut hardwood. But for the shelves that did not have exposed edges, we used a walnut veneer plywood. The client wanted adjustable shelves in the turntable stand, so I made a template on the CNC for drill holes and then manually drilled the holes into the side panels. Couldn't find the exact shelf pin that I was looking for in the local hardware stores, so it was a simple matter to make it out of 1/4-inch brass rod. Both the record storage rack and the turntable stand are primarily secured with pocket screws. The entire project is covered with Danish oil. You apply a very liberal coat, allow it to soak in for about 10 minutes, and then with a clean lint-free cloth, you wipe off any excess. The Danish oil really brings out the warm vibrancy of the walnut. It just looks beautiful after a single application. When the pocket hole was near the edge of a board, I pre-drilled the hole prior to sinking the screw, just to avoid splitting any of the boards. During the assembly, I took particular care to make sure everything was square and true. It did come together quite nicely. I included delivery with my project, and my client was 3 hours north of me. It had to be properly packed to get there unscathed. Well, that's a wrap for this project. My client was really happy with the product. The walnut just looks stunning. If you made it this far, thanks so much for hanging in there and watching the video. I appreciate it. Thanks for your interest. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Thumbs up and comments are really welcome. It's the interest from you, the viewers, that makes the videos worth doing. So thanks again from the Woodpile, and we'll see you in the next video.